Facebook because it like takes a minute, you know.
Okay. Yep.
We are live, but let me
Yay.
see where it says where we're on. Hold on. Okay, is it on yet? Yes, it is. Okay, let me share it to the Women's Oneness.
Okie dokie.
Okay. We're still live. That's all right. People are joining. We're not talking. Well, we'll start in a minute.
Hi.
Hi, we're starting in a minute. We're sharing to groups. Okay.
We're good at sharing.
There we go. All right. Now you should be live in your group.
Yay.
So you can start talking.
Hi. Hi.
There you go. You're live.
Good morning. Welcome to Poetry and Prayers. I'm Maddi Cheers. Thank you for joining me today with my sister, Celia Kibler. Hi, Celia. Award-winning author, double award-winning author of Raising Happy Toddlers and creator of International Day of Calm. So I came up with this idea about go forth and saunter. I was talking to Celia about this quote from John Muir about how he doesn't even like the term hiking, and how the term saunter actually comes from a spiritual term for pilgrimage. And I had been in beautiful, incredible Acadia National Park a couple of weeks ago with my husband and Dr. Louis Mel Madrona on a retreat that this is the second year that they have offered this, where we go on these quiet walks in the morning in beautiful places. Last year was Sedona. And during this time, I really realized that there's no reason actually to miss a lot if you're just hiking. We have this friend that's always talking about bagging peaks. We'll go out there and bag some peaks. Well, if you're bagging peaks, like John Muir says, you miss all the beauty of the nature around you, and you really miss the spiritual connection. I posted another quote by him this morning in the group that talks about the spiritual connection that nature allows us to make. And just the very idea of slowing down in this day and age, I think, is super important. The second we rush somewhere, we actually engage all of those hormones that are not so great for us, all of the things that are not great in our brain and our body, because we are immediately stressed. Our body immediately reads rushing as stressing. And I wanted to start with one of my favorite books and a favorite concept of mine, The Inner Smile. But this is one of my favorite books by Thich Nhat Hanh, How to Smile. And I opened it this morning, and this is the thing that came up. Eating with family and friends. Having the opportunity to sit with our family and friends to enjoy food is something precious, something not everyone is able to do. Sitting at the table with other people is a chance to breathe and offer an authentic smile of friendship and understanding. If people eating together cannot smile at each other, then something is not right. Look down at the food in a way that allows it to become real and reveals your connection with the earth. Each bite contains the life of the sun and the earth. You can see and taste the whole universe in a piece of bread. I love this. I love that. And that really speaks to the whole idea of slowing down, of getting in a mindful, I know that word is so overused, but it really is about being mindful of everything that's going on in your world. And I really think we need to shift to heartful, because once you are in that state of appreciation, it really speaks to your heart. And it really has a way of calming you. Just, I was a little nervous getting in here, a little feeling a little stressed about doing, a new technique, a new technical thing. Tech and me, not friends, but Tech and Celia, good friends. So I was really feeling stressed getting in here. But as soon as I sat down, looked at the beautiful blanket behind me, and read this, I really feel a state of calm now. So, Seal, any comments you want to make on that particular Voice of International Day of Calm?
Well, I will come back into the conversation because I had you highlighted while you were talking. So I think I love that you brought up sharing meals together, because it is not the norm anymore. And our lives get busy, and we wind up, the kids eat first, or you're sitting in front of a TV eating. And the gift of sharing a meal together, even if it's not dinner, if it's lunch, if you can't share dinner, some people work nights, you can't do that. The idea of focusing on sharing a meal with your family is so important and has so many benefits, because number one, you start talking to each other. You actually are able to communicate to each other.
Yes, what a concept.
Yes, you're, for people on diets, nothing better than eating a meal with family. Why? Because you slow the amount of food that goes into your body, because while you're talking, so you're not only slowing the amount of food going into your body, but you're also giving your brain a chance to register its fullness.
Right.
Before you've shoved plates and plates of food into your face.
As fun as that may be, but
right. It's so beneficial. And just the camaraderie, the catching up from the day. Maybe you talk about what's going to go on the rest of the week. You just connect and get everybody on the same page over food, which usually makes people happy. Plus, if you have a picky eater, it's proven that children that eat with their family eat better. They learn table manners from each other. All of the things that parents find difficult are often remedied by eating and sharing a meal together.
I know. And it's so incredible. When right now, Bob, my husband, is down in Oklahoma, and they're doing an overnight ceremony, a Native American church. And I remember once that I was talking with our Aunt Margie, and a gentleman who was at that ceremony, not the one they're doing right now, obviously, but the first one I went to, a gentleman who was at that ceremony, who's from the East, came up to Margie, and he said to her, I don't know what to do, because we can't get any women to cook for us. And because we can't get any women to cook for us, it's hard for us to put together a meal. And Aunt Margie said, what do you mean you can't get any women to cook for us? And he said, well, because the women feel like we're asking them to be our servants, serve us. And it was so interesting to me, because Margie's answer was, well, if you can't get women to cook for you, then it's not the ceremony. So within that ceremony, within that idea, is the idea of keeping the energies in balance. It's not a way of putting somebody down. And I've cooked for many of these ceremonies now, but it's actually a way of raising you up, and the women are very honored. And the most honoring moment in the entire ceremony is when a woman brings in the water and does the prayer. So you really have a wonderful advantage if you can go into other cultures and see what they do. And so in Native American cultures that I'm involved with, the meal is always there. When we do women's circle, the meal is part of the ceremony. And we learn more about each other sitting around talking. There's so much laughter, which we all know is a great stress reliever. And I'm sure those of you that sit and still eat with your kids or even with your grandkids, right? Whenever you're together with them, it's great. They're happy, they're laughing. So the fact that a meal is a ritual, I think, is also very important. If you continuously make the dinner time meal or the Sunday morning meal, or like our Saturday morning pancake breakfasts when we were growing up, when it becomes a ritual, it becomes something to look forward to. And it is very, very calming, which I found it so interesting that, I always talk about just opening a book to a page, something like the book I just showed you, How to Smile, or my book, which I'll show you later, or Pam's poetry book. Pam, I hope you're out there, but I can't tell.
Laura is with us, and I don't know who else is with us.
But I mean, you think about it, even when it comes to our big ceremonies, that like weddings, like funerals, there's always eating together involved. And I think that it's more what Thich Nhat Hanh is talking about too, is also what a lot of Native elders talk about, is that when you eat food, if you can slow down and make that connection to the earth, it makes you appreciate the fact that this meal is only here because of the earth and the sun and the little creepers and crawlers that took care of the earth, and the people that harvested the food, and the people that grew the food in a good way. So it connects us with each other, and feeling that connection is a stress reliever. When I look at, I posted Dr. Gabe, now I can't think of his last name. I posted the video of him talking about how he wished he had taken more time. Gabor Mate, I said it backwards, that's right. Gabor Mate. And he talked about how he wished in his life he had taken more time, like the podcaster, to spend with his friends and his family. And while he's written a lot of books and talked a lot, it's so interesting to me that at his age, in looking back, he's talking about, I wish I had spent more time with my friends and family. And I think that when we're seeing an epidemic of loneliness in our children today, when I certainly am every morning, every evening, and even right now, asking for prayers for our children, because literally everybody is writing about this epidemic of loneliness. And I was just listening to a woman. Do I remember her name? No, I don't. But I do remember the Carolina Allen, the founder of Big Ocean Women. And my dear friend turned me on to her, and she was talking about how there is that young people don't want to get married. They don't want to have families. And she equated that to one of the reasons they feel more and more lonely, because they think that investing in this material world is what's going to make them feel better. Oh, I get a car, I get a new house, I get the job I want. And unless the job you want makes you happy in a deep way, then you can take that job and turn it into other forms of connecting. And the people that can do that are very happy. That's true. But a lot of people now, sadly, young people are getting the message that it's all about what you got,
Right.
what you got outside, not what you got inside.
And people are not prioritizing their families. And there was just a huge study done where parents are so much more stressed out than they were just a few years ago. 58% of parents say they are overly stressed out and having difficulty dealing with life, because there are all these social expectations put on parents, all these demands, and slowing down, taking a step back, not putting your child into every single club, sport, event, during the week where nobody has downtime, it's literally destroying families, parents, children. It is stress is a huge killer, the biggest killer.
And you know, there've been a number of studies, and I've often talked about this psychiatrist I worked with years ago in the mental health program, Dr. Yu. And when he resigned, he said to everybody, I cannot cure you here in America. There's nothing I can do for you because you all have the John Wayne syndrome. You think you have to strike it out on your own. And in every other country in the world, people are dependent on grandmas and grandpas to take care of their children while the parents are at work. Sometimes there's many generations living together in a home. This is still true all over the world. You know, every time I go to Europe, I'm always like amazed and heartened by the fact that people spend a lot of time with their families. Children go home for lunch. You know, the first time I was in France, I was walking down a street in Aix-en-Provence, and it was lunchtime. And I heard these families, you could hear, everybody had their windows open, and you could hear the families, the moms, the dads, the kids, all sitting around laughing, talking at lunch. Not that I understood what they said because I'm not French. I did understand the laughing though. But I mean,
It's universal.
yeah, but why aren't we doing that anymore? We used to have schools where our children could come home, could walk home. And even when we did, we didn't really have them walk home for lunch. So there's a lot of
There are some
wonderful,
schools that let parents come for lunch,
yeah,
but you will see very few do,
and
like
very few
random parents do.
and very few allow them what they have in Europe, which is an hour and a half to 2 hours for lunch.
Yeah.
We've got
Well,
kids who are
because we're all
racing.
about get everything in, you know, no time for rest and
Right.
relaxation.
You've got half-hour lunch periods, 20 minutes to eat, 10 minutes to play. I mean, really, what we're talking about when we're talking about slowing down is truly a revolutionary concept in restructuring our society. It really is. And when we have all that division and when we are not listening to each other, it becomes very important for those of us who know about it to talk about implementing these things that allow our spirit to rise, that allow for what I believe it allows for human evolution. So I do want to go on to some of the poems that people have submitted today that I love.
I'm going to read Lori's comment too. It says, if I don't watch closely, I cannot tell one from the other speaking here. Oh, Lori, that is so funny because Maddie and I do sound very much alike. And I'll tell you one time with her first husband, he used to swear he could tell us apart. And one time he called me and my answering machine answered. That was, you know, back when we had answering machines. And he said, why is my wife's voice on your answering machine? And I'm like, haha, you cannot tell us apart. That is not your wife's voice.
Nah. So there. Okay. I am going to go on to read Miss Laura Phillips' beautiful
Okay, I'm going to give you the spotlight.
Submitted, The Space Between. My days are filled with longing for this precious space between, that magical place where sloth and haste can mutually be seen, that spot where I am present, no worries and no fear, just gratitude for all I am and all I have right here. I feel the constant battle of confidence and doubt, when to whisper softly and when to boldly shout, when to let my heart ache and when to soldier on, when to hold on tightly or let go of what's gone. I'm hungry for the wisdom to know which way to lean, to find the sacred path to take me to the space between. Oh my God, Laura. It's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, this is just beautiful. I'm so glad it was inspired by this idea. She said about your message of balance and duality inspired these words, but it's so, so perfect. And I think that's what we're trying to look for. Everybody is where is that space between where do I get to rest and how do we communicate that with each other so that we can calm down and listen and hear each other. And I often talk about, if you're new to the show, what we often talk about is something called passage meditation. So the poems will be posted in the Women's Oneness Project. And one of the things that we talk about is taking pieces of the poem that mean or speak to you, speak to your heart. And it could, in this case, even be the whole poem because it's short enough. And just repeating it over and over, saying it out loud or meditating on it or putting it in front of you. For me, this whole poem I would put in front of me and read over and over again. And I found yesterday, I actually reread something that I'd written about my dreams from the other night, and I read it over and over and over again, and it actually elicited a poem because, as those of you that know that watch me, I write poetry that I call divine dictation because it just comes to me, and maybe all poetry is that, but these seem to be messages. So I'm going to share one at the end. Any thoughts? Any comments? Anybody? I think Celia can see your comments.
We have. You should be able to see comments, Maddi.
Why am I not seeing them?
Okay, I don't know if you can. You should be able to. But basically, everybody loved Laura's poem. Lori is here with us. Pam is here with us. And everybody loved your poem. So I think, can you see comments, Maddi?
I can. I have to get out of the face thing.
Oh, okay.
But I can.
There we go. The quotes in my piece, Lori said the quotes in my piece are from dreams as well.
Wow. Wow. And I think that's so important. And that's something that we don't do much of in our culture unless we're connected with Buddhism or Hinduism teachers or meditation teachers, or sometimes specifically dream teachers who are telling us that, finding ways to remember your dreams and write down the ones you have. I'm not always so good at it myself, but when I do remember them, I do keep a little notebook by my bed so that I can write them down because I do always find them inspirational. So it's worth it. It's worth giving a shot to it because our dreams tell us so many things. I mean, so many people look at dreams in different ways. Cheyenne people have often said to me, our dreams are more real than this reality. So worth it. It's so worth it. Beautiful, 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 Laura. And I want to go on to something that Kim Hughes shared. It's a quote from Pema Chodron, famous Buddhist teacher, Buddhist nun. Letting there be room for not knowing is the most important thing of all. When there's a big disappointment, we don't know if that's the end of the story. It may just be the beginning of a great adventure. Life is like that. We don't know anything. We call something bad, we call it good, but really, we just don't know. So the knowing that she talks about is something that Native people very much talk about too. This knowing that really comes from the heart. This being able to sit and use your intuition and just let things come to you. Let it come.
Well, and that's so often a challenge in life, and so often a cause for stress or anxiety or overwhelm is not knowing what you don't know.
Right.
And it's like, it happens in all kinds of situations. You're going into a new situation. You're coming out of your comfort zone into where you're not comfortable. And the bottom line is, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what I don't know. But if you take it more as an adventure, as like, well, here I go. I'm just going to find out, because if I do it, I will find out what I don't know. if you take that as an adventure instead of as a stressor, it will, allow you to relax more and to be excited.
Yep. And I mean, thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. I don't know if you're watching, for that wonderful quote, because I haven't checked the content lately. Comments. I can say that word. All right. I am going to go on to this beautiful submission from Pam Thomas Carver called Dance Paths, or Dance Paths. Skip to my Lou. Idyllic childhood, lacy panties, happy birthday parties, Jesus loves me, each week beginnings, pin curls, ringlets, braids, ponytails, two-stepping, thoroughfare, teen years, supreme singing, stop in love's name, heartbreak, jitterbugging into my 20s, riding high horses, once racing, then trotting, sometimes cycling, hard rocking, intermittently waltzing, raising children, 30s, 40s, 50s, now 60s, stooped, sauntering, saged wisdom, engaged aging, less exacting, seeing light columns from tunnels, eyes blinking, flashing, twinkling, steps slowing, love implodes, explodes, lighting ways, saint tearing, trading places, mist vapors, vanishing veils. Pam. Oh my God, Pam. It's
I
so
love that,
funny
Pam.
to me. I know. It's so funny
And
to
and
me.
I love that you bring up aging, because with aging, we always talk about slowing down.
Yep.
Well, why aren't we slowing down when we're younger? Why aren't we taking in the joy of slowing down instead of maxing out?
Yep. And I love, Pam, what I love, this poem is almost a song, because the pace of it seems quicker in the beginning, and then as you get into that part about aging, it naturally slows down. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing.
Yes, Laura says, sounds like a life well lived. I agree.
Yes.
We should all be able to reflect on our life and be pleased with the travels, the journey.
Yes, and tell the stories and laugh. Oh my God.
Yeah, we're all about laughter, because it
Right.
really is the best medicine.
Yes, it is. Oh my God. All right, so I am going on to Miss Lori Cordova's poem, Saunter, and it's titled also Void and Vessel. The speed of silence is held in the still. We only really own what the soul can hold and feel. A life of hurry does not guarantee any gain. We push to tomorrow and promise unmade. Easy for me to say as my life begins to slow. In the slows, this aging heart reviews its throes. Living now between each hinder for a time is enough at last to recognize what is and is not mine. Time now to see what placed in my hands has survived. I've time enough for opening each to see what's inside. There's only today for savoring in a more dedicated glance. The ground before me as I trod atop the timeless land, I plod along the inroads once kept invisible to me. For having rushed past, not knowing the same from between, I had taken no time to know a difference in the rush and me. Hindering me, rushing along in undue haste, rushing unmoving doors going every which way. A door that will not open is no passage to release. I couldn't see this until I could see all time is free. Didn't I see then? Only time I took a hold of was for me. Everything in life is soul or symbol or time. Of these, only the soul and most sound symbols survive. A token brought forward to compare to another's side by side. Symbols serve to draw us together where those we share align. When I break through the materials of this life, I see like the slow souls who don't risk leaving themselves behind. We never get time back. Each now is before us just once. Time, life, and breath cannot be caught apart from a moment each arrive. Only then is there the opportunity to accept what's given or to decline. What's given is accepted within the time it takes to internalize. Inside, we try life on to see how a symbol can concretize. If it is for you, it will be made for you alive. What's made alive travels slowly along the multidimensional life, which is how the hurried risk leaving what is most alive about life behind. It was in a time of slow I first heard into the once hidden gentle. The calm had a voice inviting me into the elusive transcendental. Today, the distant can be made immediate as misery meets mercy in a temple. Symbols rose among vanitas, their elements of truth coming into sight. A less hurried life grew as I came to recognize, aside from the soul, all is in decline. The few passes of good purpose I'd made were before me as posterity and friend. The memory of each of these journeys outlasting the destination at each end. I knew then the difference between a void and a vessel, both of which I have been. The difference made between a void and a vessel is in time made for receptivity. The voids we think we see with patience become our paths, be they rough or road, and in the courage to slow and travel our given path. We are a worthy vessel to behold. Just taking a moment. And it requires a moment. I'm hoping you posted this, Lori. It really sums it up. I love that verse. Hindering me, rushing along in undue haste, rushing unmoving doors going every which way. A door that will not open is no passage to release. I couldn't see this until I could see all time is free. Didn't see then. Only time I took a hold of was for me. And that's just it. If we're not noticing, if we're rushing around and we're not noticing anything, are we really living?
Right.
Is a rushed life really living? I mean, that's the question I believe that this poem poses to each of us.
How often do we say, time goes so fast, time goes so fast, and it does go so fast. And often you will get to the end of the week and go, I don't even know what I did this week. I don't even know it because you're rushing so much.
Yeah, I saw this. I mean, this is a sad moment, very sad show about this man who was dying, who had been homeless, but he didn't want any pain medication. He wanted to be in pain because he wanted the people who saw him in the hospital to remember him, because he thought nobody else would remember him, because he had lived, in his mind, such a meaningless life. And it really makes us, it made me wonder, well, what if somebody had reached out to this man like the nurse and the doctor in the hospital did, long before he was dying? And if we're rushing by, I always tell people, here's when I decided to leave New York City years ago. I lived in Manhattan, and I'm walking, and I'd been there about 7 years. and I was walking to the subway station. A lot of people, it was rush hour. So there's a lot of people on the street. And there was a man lying on the sidewalk. And I just walked over him and I kept going to the subway stop. And about a block and a half down, I stopped and I said to myself, I have just walked over a human being. And I did not even stop to see if that human being was okay. Did he need help? Did we need to call 911? And it wasn't just me. Everybody on the street just walked over the guy. And the really weird thing about it, and I do think it's weird, is that I did run back to see if the guy was okay, and he was gone. Now, either somebody did notice and was paying attention and did take care of him, or who knows? Maybe it was a little message to me. And I did.
Yeah.
I actually decided I couldn't live in the city anymore. And I've never lived in a city again because everything just goes too fast. And it had a profound effect on me. And I know there are very mindful, wonderful people living in cities. It just isn't for me. You know,
Yeah.
I need to be in a place that's slowed down in order to be able to slow down. Could just be me. But certainly I thought about that in watching that show last night, that what if that was the guy? You know, what if
Yeah.
somebody had stopped for him? So there's a lot we miss. You know, we talk a lot about helping each other, help each other, help each other, but do it. You know,
We miss some, even listening. You know, the best listeners are the best communicators.
right?
And I always, you know, when I'm working with my clients and we're talking about listening, if you think of listening itself, we don't listen. We are distracted by things. We're looking at things. We have our phones in our hands. But even more so, almost every human that is talking to another person, instead of actively listening, is plotting their rebuttal.
Yeah,
They're thinking about, what am I going to say in response to this?
I know.
And if you are thinking that, you're not listening. Maybe you'll catch half of it. But when you think about slowing yourself down, and some people may be watching this thinking, where do I start? Start there.
Yeah,
Start listening to a
yeah,
person that's talking to you. Start looking at them in the eye. Put your phones down. Turn off distractions. If it's your child, if it's your partner, whoever it is, turn off the TV if that's background noise. Do whatever it is, and don't plot what you're going to say. Actively listen, because when you listen, you won't have to plan what you have to say, because you'll find out information that you didn't even know.
I know I brought this up before for those of you that followed the series I did on the Great Law of Peace of the Haudenosaunee, the Iroquois. But this, one of the things that amazes me the most about what they do in their government meetings. Now, imagine this in Congress. Okay.
Yeah.
So only one person can speak at a time. They are holding wampum, which means that they are telling the truth and they are stating their idea. So they state their idea. There has to be absolute silence. Everybody is listening. Only the person with the wampum is allowed to speak. And then they stop. Nobody talks again. The wampum isn't passed for approximately 15 minutes because everybody has to absorb what they have just heard. Because you might have come into that government meeting with something you needed to say, but you hear the voice of this person and what you need to say could be different. So they make their laws based on what we call active listening. Oh my goodness. And that, and the fact that they start every government meeting with the Ohendo Galawadegwan, which is that which comes before all else, which is often called the Thanksgiving address. So they go through, their faith keeper goes through this 2 to 3 hour Thanksgiving of everything and everyone in the world, because they wanted to be in the good mind, in a grateful mind, so that when they are receiving information from somebody and listening to it, They have this attitude of gratitude, and they know they don't have to agree, but they are listening. And they still may disagree, but they're going to think about how to say it. They've got that 15 minutes where if something did spark anger in them, they're going to calm down. They're going to figure out what their response is when the wampum is passed to them, and nothing is said in anger.
Yes, and we're listening to the valid reasons somebody believes the way they believe.
Exactly.
And Laura said, "How do we get these practices enacted by Congress?" There's a $1,000,000 question.
I know.
But I don't know. I think we have to go have a listening course. We have to go
Right.
in and teach them.
Congress. I know every time
But
I talk about the great law piece, somebody posts something like, "Could you please go teach this in Congress?" Yes, I am
I know,
very
maybe we
willing to.
could. Maybe we could
First person that
actually
invites
teach.
me, I'm there.
Maybe we could actually teach them.
Yes.
But that's the thing with disagreement and with, thinking from different points of view, different perspectives. We all have valid reasons why we think that way.
Yep.
You brought up Congress, people that trash Republicans and Democrats. Those people have valid reasons why they think that way.
And you
Just
should at
trashing them
least
because
listen.
you don't think that
You
way.
know, I mean, I think that's the lesson of the Haudenosaunee government is just listen. In order to have peace, they say everyone's voice must be heard. So
And understand.
understand. And I love that 15-minute break. I mean, because it gives you that chance. Maybe you do need, like I said earlier, you got to calm down. You got to you had something you wanted to say. Now you've got to respond differently. I mean, it's brilliant. The ultimate slowing down.
Exactly.
Right? Oh my goodness. Okay. I want to read Let It Flow by Laura Phillips, the wonderful Laura. You're all wonderful. Gently winding through the woods, gracing nature's neighborhoods, singing songs that soothe the soul, my companion as I stroll, teaching me to navigate twists and turns, decisions and fate. Water knows which way to go, reminding me to let it flow. And I think that one really reminds me of what Celia just said, and is a wonderful meditation in and of itself, about if you're really actively listening, then you are just letting it flow. If you're thinking about what your response is going to be while the person is talking, then you're not letting it flow. Right. And you're not going to flow with it. And often, and I really, 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 really suggest if you do meet in women's circles, or especially if you're having conflict in your family right now, or in a group that you're in, institute the talking stick. Wampum are the shell beads made from the hard clamshell that the Haudenosaunee use, but many, the Lenape, many other Native people use the talking stick, and whoever has a stick speaks and use it. I have teachers who have their kids make it, or we make it with them, and then they take it home to their families and they use it at the dinner table. I've had students that I run into in a couple of years after I've been in their classes that have told us that they use the talking stick still. So it's really a wonderful way to slow down your conversations. And it's fun. It's fun to make them. It's a fun project to make a talkie. All you need are like the paint. It's easiest to do with the paint stirring sticks you get in the hardware store, and it's fun. The kids can color on them. They can attach stuff to them. And then you use it at the dinner table or use it at family meetings.
And I have a wonderful listening game that I give to families as well to teach how to be a good listener. So if anybody's interested in the listening game, just send me a message or put hashtag listening, or send me a message. Probably best to send me a message, and I will send you the listening game. So it's great practice. Kids love it. They will do it with you because somebody's actually sitting there listening to them. So in this game. So if you're interested in the listening game, let me know.
Sure will. So, yes, you will. So in the retreat, on the retreat that we do that with my husband, Bob Vetter, and Dr. Mel Madrona. And the retreat starts always with a walk. And during the walk, we are encouraged to saunter. We're sauntering. We're not hiking. I mean, you can, if you have time we always give a big European style lunch break. So you've got time if you want to go racing up and down peaks, go ahead. It's no problem. We also divide the group into two groups, those who are slower, who really do just want to saunter, or maybe physically cannot do more than that, and the group that would like to go a little faster. And then when we were at Acadia National Park, which if you are on the East Coast, go. I cannot recommend. I think it's the only national park on the East Coast. And I know it's the only place on the East Coast where the mountains meet the sea. But you have very safe, very easy walks like the one around Jordan Pond there, which is beautiful and long. And it was that morning that we decided that would be the place where people could go individually, and they could pick a meditation place or a prayer place, or however you want to visualize this. And I did. And during my meditation was right there by the water, on the water, and quite beautiful. And when I got back to write about it, I received this poem, Change Directions. Seek the night to see the day. Let your spirit out to play. Be the love that you must free. Be the truth of letting be. Letting go will also teach how to see a goal to reach. Reaching out while reaching in leads away from fear and sin. Sin that causes missing marks, seeing clearly in the dark. Corrects the sin that let you leave the place where you just sit and grieve. Rising up from that cold place, you can see your sweetest grace. You can hear your deepest sound. You can find all common ground. Come into our family of love and light, and setting free the soul of light, the star of love. It is the way from up above. I actually got 3 poems, and during the week now I am going to start reading these messages because they are coming fast and furious. I wrote the book. The book has the mandala meditations has 108 of the previous poems, and I go through these periods where there are like breaks where I don't hear anything, or I'm drawing a mandala, and that's just the way it happens. Right now I seem to be in a sped up time of writing these poems, and they've always been messages, but they do seem a little bit more urgent now. So I'll be reading them on the Women's Oneness Project periodically as they come to me. I've got 3 to read this week, and maybe more by the end of the week. Who knows? But I will try to get it, because they definitely have to be read. It's one of the reasons I'm putting the book on Audible, is because everybody tells me they need to be read, and I understand the cadence that they are to be read in. So anyway, love you guys. Love
wait,
you so
before
much.
we leave,
Okay,
I want to read one verse. I did not write this, and you guys will recognize it when I say it, but I'm all about our kids, and part of the importance of slowing down is so that our kids also learn to slow down, so that they take in gratitude and beauty, and they start appreciating life instead of just racing by it. So this is the start of my book. Again, I did not write it. It was written by Linda Creed, but you'll recognize it when I read it. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us of how we used to be. And that's from The Greatest Love of All, written by Linda Creed. Music was by Michael Masser. It was recorded by George Benson and Whitney Houston.
Oh,
And it's just a beautiful verse and so true.
and it's true. It's like that
It is
video.
so true.
The video I posted again of that little girl talking to her parents after they had a fight. So, let the little
Yes.
children lead them.
Yep.
The
Yep.
little children.
And let their laughter remind us how we need to recognize our inner child.
Yes.
We need to also laugh and stop taking life so seriously.
I know.
And
Lighten up,
enjoy
Buttercup.
the travels.
So, and as a Haudenosaunee say once again, because I always have to go back to that, they have the Tom Porter always says he always ends, and he'll do big serious speeches on the great law of peace, and always throws in humor, and always ends with, don't forget that the creator wants you to forgot there's a phone in here.
Phone as we speak. Don't let those phones interrupt you.
Don't let those phones interrupt you. I forget there's a phone in the office when I do this from the office. So anyway, back to what Tom says. You're supposed to smile wide so that all your teeth show, if you've got any left. Most of mine are fake, but the ones you've got left, you smile wide.
Remember, you can always hear a smile.
That's
always.
True. So 4 times a day, smile wide. And then
and it's good facial muscles. Keeps from this wrinkles. Good for good exercise.
Yes. And those wrinkles are happy wrinkles. They're very happy wrinkles.
They are happy wrinkles. I have a lot of happy wrinkles.
Me too.
They're happy all over my face.
They're having a party. Party down, wrinkled. Okay.
Good. I'm glad we're making you smile, Pam.
We're way long today, but that's okay. I love you all. I truly do. Thank you for submitting.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for being here with us. And we'll be back next Sunday. I don't know if it'll be Celia back.
Not we. Sunday. We as in Maddi.
As in Maddi. We as in my own we. Me, myself, and all my other beings that are.
Yes, remember, you can always direct the word we. Like I tell my husband, when we have to do something, I'll be like, we as in you.
Funny, I do that to Bob also. We have to
we as in you have to do this. But always inclusive. Always inclusive.
Yes, always inclusive. Always. We're always together.
Thank you, Laura. Okay. Be well. Pam, everyone
Lori,
else that was here.
There.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much. I love you all. You know that I do. I was trying to look at comments. I blew it again. All right, I'll look at them later.
Oh, here's be well, dear ones. Look, I can put them on the screen.
Yay.
Smiling too.
Look at that technology. Oh,
yep. Smile. Oh, you may look at the baby picture. Look at the little heart.
Most adorable grandchildren. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I love them. I love them. They're delicious.
Yep, they sure are. Okay, guys. Love you. See you next weekend. Haven't thought of a theme. If you come up with one, as always, let me know. Okay. And I'll see you during the week. I'll see you Wednesday night for story time, which we're going to try on StreamYard, right, Seal? So that people in your group can see it. 7:00 Wednesday. I'll pick a story soon. Okay. Love you guys.
Peace.
Have a great week. Have a great whatever. Be happy.